Hello and welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair, that VidBlaster guy, coming to you with another exciting episode of that VidBlaster guy. You know, I always say that it's an exciting episode. I don't know if it's going to be an exciting episode or not, but I know it's going to be interesting. It won't be boring. So sit back, relax, Timothy, grab a sandwich, and let's have a go at it. I've got a really terrific guest on the show today, Paul Allen Clifford, and I'm going to give him a formal introduction in just a minute. But he and I have been chatting in pre-show, and y'all are in for a treat. It's going to really, really be interesting. So stick around. That VidBlaster guy has been on the air 2.5 years now. I don't know how many shows we do. We don't count. It doesn't really matter if it's show number 56 or 156. That's not the important thing. The important thing is that we get together once a week and talk about VidBlaster and all the great stuff that's going on with that program. You remember the mantra, one guy with one PC can do one awesome broadcast. Now, nobody starts out with one awesome broadcast, but you can start out with one guy and one PC. And we have added to our website, easternshorebroadcasting.com, a tutorial section, what I'm going to call quick and dirty tutorials about VidBlaster. That is, you can sit down in, I think the longest one is 5 minutes, and the shortest one is about 2.5. So between 2.5 and 5 minutes, you can sit down with your phone or your tab and get a little bit more knowledge about VidBlaster by watching one of these quick and dirty tutorials. Now you'll say, oh, well, I already know about cameras, or I already know about audio, or I already know about playing videos. But this quick and dirty tutorial is probably going to fill out some of the knowledge that you may not already have. It's kind of like picking up an encyclopedia. You remember what an encyclopedia is? Those books that would sit on the shelf that would about bend the shelf down because they were so darn heavy. And you'd pick up an encyclopedia to do a report in school, and you'd go back to whatever the subject was, but along the way, you'd see all this other interesting stuff. And you just sort of sit down and read through some of it. And I don't know about you, but that's what I did. And it'd be 10 minutes before I got to the subject that I was really there to find out about. Well, our tutorials are kind of the same way. You're going to get stuff that you really aren't after for now, but you're going to find, hey, that rounds out my body of knowledge. I know more now. I'm a little bit more prepared than I was before. If things break at the last minute, I have a better idea of where they broke and how to fix them. And today's show is a good example. We had some what would we call them, technical difficulties before the show. And I think we got 99% of them ironed out, and I'll let you guess which one. For those of you that responded to my rant from a couple of weeks ago about internet broadcasting integrity, I really do appreciate that, and I thank you for your comments. If you're watching us on YouTube, we hope you'll subscribe, because YouTube will send you a notice every time we post a new video, and that way you'll notice there's something up there. You don't have to watch it, but it might be interesting. You never know. And if you're watching on YouTube, we invite you to join us live. We're on Wednesday afternoons in the United States, 3 o'clock Eastern for that VidBlaster guy, and then 3:45-ish for Streaming Idiots. So we hope you'll join us live for one or the other at some point. It can be a lot of fun. Yeah, we've got guys in the chat room right now just chatting it up. Today's guest I'm really excited about because I've been following him on Twitter and online for probably a year, maybe more. It's hard to say, just when does somebody show up in your orbit? And at first I was kind of like, okay, here's a guy that's talking about broadcasting. Looks like he knows a little bit. I'm going to follow him on Twitter. And then he'd post something on Twitter about a video that he'd done. So I'd take a look at his video. And, it's interesting as you're online, this whole online world, especially the video world, you can get to know a lot about somebody by watching their videos and reading what they wrote without really meeting them and without really knowing them. It's sort of a virtual friendship, I guess, kind of a one-way where you know a lot about them. Kind of like with movie stars. Yeah, that's it. Well, our movie star today is Paul Allen Clifford. And I've got Paul's audio up, so he's there chuckling in the background. Let me bring him in. Paul, thanks for taking time out of your day to come in the show. Whoops, let me get you full screen. There we go. And Paul, welcome.
Well, thanks a lot, Tom. I'm glad to be here.
Paul is the proprietor, I don't know what other way to say it, of Trinity Digital Media. And Trinity Digital Media is a multifaceted organization with Paul at the hub of books and videos and consulting and just, all sorts of stuff. But it focuses around churches. And Paul, tell me how you got into this whole thing. I mean, we talked about this a little bit in pre-show, and we probably shouldn't have because it kind of took some of the edge off of it. But it's a great story, and I think the guys watching will really be interested. How did this whole technology thing first come into your orbit?
Yeah, so it starts probably about 98, 99. I went to a seminary, so it's the church thing, but not like a Roman Catholic seminary. I'm a married man. I've got a couple of kids, which one of them may disturb us at any time. You never know. So anyway, this is a seminary called Asbury Theological Seminary in Wilmore, Kentucky, which is a little place just outside of Lexington, Kentucky. You might have heard of the University of Kentucky Wildcats. They're playing basketball really well this year.
I understand they have a basketball team. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of one. 31-0, just a little. So anyway, so I went to this seminary, and they had recently gotten a big grant, and so they had technology everywhere. This is back in the late 90s. They had screens in all the classrooms, and they had someone on staff whose only job was to make videos. And so I took a class called Technology and Ministry. And despite doing a really bad job of doing my homework in every other class, with this class, I would run home, back to my dorm, and I would do my homework immediately. And then I'd kind of feel bummed that I didn't have more homework to do, which is really strange for a student to say. But that's what was going on. So I slowly but surely got into using technology in the church. And at first, like, no one was doing it. And slowly but surely, more and more churches are doing it. Although you still hear people that haven't been to church in 20 years say, technology? Well, I guess I've got air conditioning in some places. But no, it's actually much more advanced than that. And some churches are doing cutting-edge things that even businesses haven't even thought of. So that's kind of how I got into it, and I started doing this thing that I'm doing now after working in local television, after working for a audio-video installation firm, after working in a whole house audio-video with a company that decided to move, and I just used my severance package when they decided to leave to start this company. So that's what got me here.
That is so cool. So obviously God was calling you to seminary.
Mm-hmm.
And while you were there, he said, "Oh, by the way, Paul, let me show you about this technology stuff. I think you're going to like it."
Exactly. I'd always kind of been technical. In fact, I nearly minored in computer programming in college, but one of the classes didn't work out, so I ended up in literature instead. So I had a background in it. I took a class on Photoshop in Photoshop 2.
Oh my!
Not CS2, 2.
Right.
So I knew a little bit about technology, and then when I took this class in seminary, which I didn't know exactly why I was there, I just knew I was supposed to be there.
Uh-huh.
I never felt like I was supposed to be a pastor or a minister of music or anything kind of traditional like that. So I was a little confused, frankly, but, I did what I felt like I was supposed to do, and you're seeing the results.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Awesome. Now, folks, he's being really modest, but Paul, you've written a number of books since 98 or since you got into this.
Right. I've written 7. 4 have been published. 3 are still in the works in one way or the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we were folks. We were talking in the pre-show that he's got one in the works now on live streaming, and he set it aside in November. And he said, sometimes when I set these things aside, it's because something else is coming down the line that I don't know about that might change the book. So we'll have to keep a lookout for that one. And I would imagine, live streaming is such a cutting edge field right now with, not great, wondrous new technology being announced, but, NAB will be next month, and there'll be some new stuff there that we've only heard rumors of. I got a Twitter message this morning from somebody in another country that is creating a Wirecast VidBlaster vMix kind of program, and is going to be announcing it soon. And what was it? Ted Kazmierzak with Tally Lights has created this line of Tally Lights to work with Wirecast and VidBlaster and other kinds of desktop broadcasting software. And so there's always something that's coming out that's changing. Now, Paul, are any of your books available in ebook format?
Oh yeah, all of them are.
Okay. Okay.
So, if you go to Amazon.com / Paul Clifford, I think that'll take you there.
Okay.
Actually, I think it's amzn.to / Paul Clifford. That's Amazon's URL shortener.
Okay.
And that'll list all my books there.
Okay. Or you can go to trinitydigitalmedia.com and get the full poop there. And he's got a book about tweeting with Twitter, about podcasting, one called Church Video School, one called The Serving Church, and then one he's working on called Live Streaming in Churches. It's going to be great stuff. Great stuff. Paul, what a resource to the body.
Well, thank you.
That's just so cool. When I discovered Paul about a year ago, it was like, wow, look at this guy. He is so focused in. He knows exactly what he's geared for. It was awesome. Now, you're also doing some live broadcasts yourself. You're not just an author.
Right.
You've got 3 or 4 broadcasts every week. Tell me about those.
Yeah, so Monday is Tech Help for Churches. That's all about using the internet, new media, social media in the church. Right now I'm on a series about email newsletters, which sounds really boring, but compared to, we've got a stack of these papers over here, I think it's a pretty cutting-edge thing for some churches.
What time is that?
They all release 11 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. I originally had a show on Wednesday, but there just wasn't much interest in it, so I've shelved that temporarily. So
that's because we're on Wednesdays.
Exactly. I was thinking of you, Tom. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Well, I mean, I might have on some level, because you've been following me. Well, I've also been following you. So we've been stalking each other. I guess we should have said something earlier, but thanks for reaching out to me.
Timing is everything.
Yeah, so that's Monday's show. Tuesday's show is a screencast show called the ChurchTechCast.com screencast show. And you can get all these 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on ChurchTechCast.com.
Okay.
And primarily I'm using ProPresenter in that. That's great worship software which does things that PowerPoint could only dream of doing. It's just incredible stuff.
ProPresenter. I think we use that at our church.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, even though I'm a tech guy, I'm not involved in that part of the ministry.
Right. Yeah, ProPresenter is, what's great about it is it can do just putting lyrics up.
Mm-hmm.
No problem. And it makes it easier for that, in case the minister of music or worship leader, whoever, either forgets a section and you have to skip, or they're moved by the Holy Spirit
Absolutely.
to forget a section. Either way, doesn't
Absolutely.
matter. The result's the same, and it's great for that, but it also does things like you can use ProRes 4444 videos which have an alpha channel built into them, so you can layer videos on top of one another live. And that's, quite frankly, my favorite piece of the puzzle, and it does everything in between. You know, a third display. So you've got a control screen, you've got a main screen that everyone sees, and then there's a third display called the stage display that's specific for the people that are on the stage, the podium, the altar, whatever you call it in your church.
Uh-huh.
And so I love ProPresenter. That's Tuesday's show. Wednesday's show is Technobabble. It's my longest running show. I've been doing it since 2005, July 2005, on and off, but in the last 3 years, pretty steady. And it wasn't originally streaming. It was originally just an audio podcast, but it's grown over time. And then Friday is just questions and answers. I just answer people's questions. So that's basically what I do there.
And if somebody wanted to watch your show, they would go to trinitydigitalmedia.com and go to the live shows tab?
You could do that, or you could just go to churchtechcast.com.
Churchtechcast, okay.
Yeah, if you look right up there, you'll see I have it written on this whiteboard right behind me.
That's real high tech there, Paul.
Yeah, I'm cool like that. You know, that's the way we roll here in the TrinityDigitalMedia.com International Studios.
Hey, well, it's about getting the job done.
That's right.
You know, and it doesn't have to all be glitzy and electronic. You know, it's let's get the message across. All right, so you got 4 shows, you got 3 books in progress.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do for the rest of the day?
Usually I'm tweeting.
You are a prolific tweeter, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've started, some of this is scheduled, so if you're against that, I'm sorry, but what I do is I send out, I've just noticed that people dip in and dip out of Twitter, so they may not get the link that I send out when it's ready.
Right.
So I put up, you know, the last month's worth of new shows and say, hey, if you want to know how to keep your live stream up no matter what, that's one that your audience might appreciate. I've got a show where I talk just about all the backups that if you have the money and the ability, it would be great to have all these backups in place so that if anything goes wrong, short of the building burning down, then you're kind of out of luck. But other than that, short of that, then you can switch over at the last minute and be okay. So,
good deal. Good deal. And so all right. So Church TechCast Q&A is on Fridays.
That's right.
And that's 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific time.
That's right.
And that's going to be like really early in the morning in Australia on Saturday, like maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Okay. Too early for Australians to watch live. But all that stuff is available on demand. Now, if somebody wanted to watch it on demand, where would they go? Same place, churchtechcast.com?
You could do that. TrinityDigitalMedia.com has a link at the top where it has all my recent videos.
Okay.
All of them are put up there, or you could head over to my YouTube channel.
Okay.
As well. Any of those places are fine. All
right. Now, tell us about your setup, because we haven't talked about this in pre-show at all. So, guys, I'm fascinated. I want to know, you know, are you a Mac guy or are you a PC guy? What's your camera? How are you getting your audio in? Give me the whole 9 yards. I mean, don't share any trade secrets, of course, but...
Okay, well, I have no secrets, so I will absolutely share everything. What I do, if I want a high-quality video, I haven't bridged the gap from my high-quality camera to my computer. So anyone watching might be thinking, well, you know, that's kind of a fuzzy picture. It's an HD Logitech webcam, but, you know, it could be better. So that's for streaming. I'll normally go video from this Logitech camera, and you can get the list of all my gear on TrinityDigitalMedia.com/other type in resources. It just has a list of all of them. But so that's my camera. From an audio standpoint, I either use the microphone I'm using right now is actually the one I started podcasting with almost 10 years ago, and it is a Behringer XM as in Mary 8500, which is a budget microphone, and that's running in through an XLR cable. And on Amazon, you can get an XLR cable that is tip, ring, sleeve, and also has a headphone jack. And I'm running that into my mid-2010 MacBook Pro. So I am a Mac guy. I do have some PCs around here, but I switched over because I'm a video guy and I love Final Cut Pro. The original one, Final Cut 10, I haven't upgraded to yet. So, but it's all Mac, and I take that into Wirecast, and that's how I do the live streaming. If I'm recording something ahead of time, it's done with my Canon T3i, which I'm showing here, and that first goes from the microphone, which is either this Behringer, or I also have a wired lav here. Don't need wireless because I'm in a small room.
Right.
So I've got a wired lav that it's an Audio-Technica Pro 70, which is about $100. And that goes into a Zoom H4, which is an audio recorder. But DSLRs are notorious for having noisy preamps. So to get around that, I basically use the Zoom H4 as a microphone preamp. So it comes out the headphone jack of the Zoom H4 and into my T3i, and I get much better sound that way.
Gotcha. Well, that makes sense. Oh, great setup. Great setup. I love it. Now, the Behringer, you say you've had that with you for a long time.
Yeah, about 10 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I got it Father's Day 2005. Happily, my wife, when I ask for something, she doesn't roll her eyes. Well, maybe she does when her back is turned, but she went ahead and allowed me to buy this.
She said, honey, if you want a mic for Father's Day, go for it.
Yep,
exactly. That's great. Well, it's funny because Behringer mics that's what funded my initial foray into this whole field. I was looking for a mic because I was broadcasting sports, and I wanted to find just an inexpensive mic because I knew it was going to get beat up, and if this sports gig thing didn't work, then I would try something else, and didn't want to have a bunch of money wrapped up in equipment. And so I went online and found, golly, I forget the model number now. It was a Behringer, and it was like $5. And I said,
wow,
oh, this is great. And then I saw on there that there was one where it was, buy two, get one free for $8. And I said, that's even better. And then I saw where I could buy a carton of them. They must have been factory seconds or blims or something.
Wow.
I could buy a carton of them on bid. And they were supposedly 200 in a carton.
Wow.
So I bought a carton of them for $67. Well, there weren't 200 of them in them. There were 312 in there. And I put them on eBay and started reselling them and realized this is amazing. I mean, buy low, sell high. And I could sell, and at one point I had a deal where you bought one, you got 9 free. And people were just going nuts with it, and I realized I need to go buy every case, and there were 5 or 6 cases of these things available online, and I bought every single one of them. And I had, I don't know, maybe 1,000, 1,500 of these microphones in my garage. Actually not in the garage. I put them in the living room because I didn't want them to get cold or damaged by moisture. And, shipped them out and made money hand over fist and funded the purchase of my first streaming PC. And it just, it was a self-funding enterprise in that sense.
Gotcha.
It was a lot of fun. So Behringer has a warm place in my heart for putting all their blems out there where I could get them. And by the way, Behringer, if you're watching this, the deal is still I'm still open for this deal. But as we talk about the way we fund what we're doing, Paul, you also are available for folks that are interested in a consultant as a consultant.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what if you had to pick your favorite kind of client? Who would be your favorite kind of client? What kind of church or organization would you feel like, this is the perfect match for me?
Yeah, so I think that churches or ministries, especially, I'm not someone that necessarily would turn someone down unless, I'm not going to say yes to the Nazi Party of America.
Right.
Sorry, don't feel offended, Nazis, but sorry, I'm not going to help you. But in general, I tend to focus on churches. They have specific needs, and I think I'm best at that.
Right.
So most churches out there are fairly small. You'll see on TV the mega churches.
Right.
Well, they're the exception, not the rule. So I'm thinking of churches that want to take the next steps, but they don't know how. Or they've heard, oh yeah, you can do what you want. It's only going to cost you $1 million. And
Right.
I think that there's kind of a balance there that some churches, they'll try and do live streaming like we're doing with a security camera that they bought at a yard sale.
Sure.
I don't think you should do that if that's your budget. I think that that's not quite enough. But I don't think you need to spend $1 million either. I think there's a good balancing line between so cheap that it looks horrid and you just can't imagine anyone wanting to watch it, and on the other end of the spectrum, so expensive that you quite frankly will never use all the capabilities that you have until it's out of date.
Right.
So I think there's a good balancing act to be had. And so those kind of churches, small to medium-sized churches that they want to take the next step, but they just don't know what to do.
Right.
And they've heard from maybe integrators that want them to spend more money than the building costs. Well, I think we can knock that down a bit. Or that they've got, they're hoping to get by with 50 cents worth of equipment. I think we can talk a little bit about raising that up to, maybe a system more like you have, Tom, or I have, where it's not the best thing that was ever made, but it'll be adequate for what they need.
Right. Good. So you're basically taking all comers. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah, and just because a church is small in its number and congregation, it doesn't mean that they've got a small vision.
That's right.
Because I know Alan Bunt, Al's working today, but he's with Good Shepherd Lutheran Church up in Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin. And they have a dynamic digital ministry, and as a result are, kind of growing a digital congregation. Folks that physically are not in Wisconsin. I mean, who would want to be in, sorry, no offense, Al, but who would want to live in Wisconsin? It's too darn cold.
Yep.
But there are folks out there that may love the message and, love the music and love, and they even broadcast a Bible study, a weekly Bible study. And so, Al's really getting it put together. That's Al Bunt for folks that Al was on the very, very second show that we ever did back in July of 2012. He was our guest to talk about church broadcasting and really doing a great job. Well, we are about out of time. Folks, this has been Paul Allen Clifford from Trinity Digital Media at trinitydigitalmedia.com or churchtechcast.com. Author, movie star, face it out. You get Paul, you get your name out there and and your face out there, and people say, "Oh, I know that guy. Yeah, yeah. That's the guy
Yep.
from the Church Tech Cast.
Yeah, it's just me in my spare room at my house working like crazy, so nothing special about me. I just picked up some stuff that I want to share. That's all it is.
He's being very modest, folks. He's got a call on his life, and he's being obedient to that call, and he's really got just gone into it head first and given it everything. That's very evident, very evident. Paul, just a little kudo, not trying to get your head swollen up there, but just, calling a spade a spade. That's what we do on this show. All right, Paul, I'm hoping you'll hang around for our next segment.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, we're gonna move over and close out this segment of that VidBlaster guy. Thank you so much for tuning in to hear about Paul Allen Clifford and church technology with TrinityDigitalMedia.com. Give him a look. Sign up for his Facebook. I mean his Twitter account. I don't know what it is, but if you go to TrinityDigitalMedia.com, you can click on the little Twitter icon right there and follow him on Twitter. And I believe you will get a lot of tweets with some stuff that you probably don't care anything about, and then some stuff that is just boom, zing, right on target. And that's the whole idea. So until next week, folks, it's been a treat to have you here with us today. Don't forget, if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching us live, hang on a second. Kent has got some cookies and juice for us here at the intermission, and we'll be back with our next segment. So till next time, I'm Tom Sinclair, that VidBlaster guy. Thanks for joining us.